So I wanted to do a video, and I actually will tell you exactly why I wanted to do it in a few minutes in detail. So if you watch my video on postpartum and my experience with it, you know that I dealt with postpartum depression and anxiety after the birth of my son. So I was always a firm believer in breastfeeding and that there was no other way to feed a baby besides breastfeeding. It was either you breastfed or that's it. Like, that's the best thing for you to do for your baby. I always said that's what I'm going to do. I will not formula feed my baby. I do not believe in formula. So breastfeeding is very difficult. Breastfeeding, especially if you oversupply, which I was oversupplying, so I was constantly having to pump. And having postpartum depression and anxiety on top of having to breastfeed was very stressful, because anytime that I wanted to leave the house, I'd have to take my breast pump with me. I literally sat in the Target parking lot, I don't know how many times, and pumped, because if I didn't pump, my breasts were like engorged and so sore. So my baby was very fussy and nobody could figure out why. And so we started doing trial and error of different things, and we come to find out that he has a dairy intolerance. So on top of me pumping and breastfeeding, which breastfeeding babies, they breastfeed more often because breast milk doesn't, the fat of the breast milk doesn't keep them full long, so they're breastfed a lot more often. My baby was feeding like every 30 minutes, no joke. So it came to a point where they were like, I think he has a dairy intolerance. And in order to really try to see if it is a dairy intolerance, we need to get the dairy out of your system, which will take about 3 to 4 weeks, and then also have it get out of his system, which will take that long. So they suggested that I put him on a dairy-free hypoallergenic formula while I got the dairy out of my system so that he could start somewhat feeling better. So I agreed to that. I was like, fine, it's only going to be, a few weeks. And they said, you'll notice a little bit of a difference within the first couple of days, but it will take like a full 2 to 3 weeks for it to get out of his system and for his stomach to kind of go back to normal from it. So I stopped breastfeeding. I was still pumping and watching everything that I ate, reading every ingredient, which is very stressful. Everything has milk in it or dairy of some sort. And at the 3-week mark, I started breastfeeding him again. And I noticed a huge difference with him on the formula that was dairy free. So I knew it was dairy. One day, so I'm breastfeeding him. One day, me and my husband go out to breakfast, and I told the lady specifically, the waitress, I was like, I can't have any dairy. She was like, no problem. So I get like eggs and toast, and they put butter on the toast. I just didn't realize it until after I had ate 2 pieces, and I was like, there was butter on that. I looked at one of the pieces of the toast on my plate, and I was like, oh my God, there was just butter on that. And I freaked out, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna like hurt Brandon. And my husband's like, calm down, it's just toast, it's just a little bit of butter, he'll be fine. Wrong. Breastfed him, and then a couple hours later, screaming in pain. He was grunting and moaning and crying and fussy, and it broke my heart. Broke my heart. I already have anxiety and postpartum depression, and then my baby's being fussy, and then to know that I tried so hard to not eat any dairy, and then that little bit of him to really like upset him that much, it broke my heart. So he's screaming and crying, and I broke down. I went outside, I broke down, I was bawling my eyes out. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. If that little tiny bit of dairy hurt him that much and caused that much discomfort for him, I was like, there's no way I can do this. It's too stressful. Like, I can't eat anything. And then I felt so bad because I was like, I don't believe in anything but breastfeeding. Like, I can't formula feed him. And I was like, formula is so expensive. I'm like, breastfeeding is free. I couldn't bring myself to say it's okay to formula feed him. So after that night, I decided that he needed to be formula fed because I hated seeing him that uncomfortable. And I will be honest, before I had Brandon, I would honestly look at other moms who weren't breastfeeding and would be like, why aren't they breastfeeding them? Don't they know that breastfeeding is the best thing to do? And I feel bad now doing that and knowing as a mom what it feels like to want to breastfeed your baby. My hair looks like a mess. To want to breastfeed your baby and not be able to do that. So the reason why I wanted to do this video today is because my son actually has a severe dairy intolerance. So the formula that he needs to be on is actually like a prescription type formula, and it's literally only sold in one store in my area, and it's very expensive. So I'm waiting for WIC, which is assistance, to help with this formula so that I can pay for it, because literally it comes in a 14-ounce bottle and he goes through that in 4 days, and it's $47, which is unreal. And insurance doesn't cover it. So I went online and I went onto Facebook on the mom's group site, Moms Pay It Forward or I don't know, some site like that, and asked if anybody had any of this EllaCare that they could give me to last me until my appointment with WIC, which is next week. This mom, which I'm not even going to say her name. I won't even say her name. This mom, who, she's not young. She is an older woman. She's an adult. She looked like she was probably in her late 40s, early 50s from her Facebook profile, had the nerve to comment on the post and say, breastfed is the best way to feed your baby and it's free. No shit. Thanks. I know that. That like made me, at first it broke my heart, and then I just got like irritated because I'm like, I know that breastfeeding is the best for my baby and it's free. But you don't know the struggle that I went through and that I continue to go through, and the anxiety and sadness that I feel because I can't breastfeed my baby. And for you to say that on a post where I'm asking for help is bullshit. And it ended up getting taken down because tons of moms were like going back and forth with this lady who's saying that, like, some moms were like, I had a medical issue that I couldn't breastfeed my baby had tongue tie or lip tie, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And moms were going back and forth with this lady on Facebook, and she just kept saying medical reasons. Oh, I breastfed my 2 twins and blah, blah. And like, she didn't have anything nice to say to anybody about if they couldn't breastfeed their baby. And then I was never that mean to somebody. But I do remember, you know, sometimes like one girl that I know that wasn't breastfeeding her baby, I was like, why aren't you breastfeeding? And I see that now that probably hurt her. And she probably tried, and she probably gave it her all. And there are plenty of reasons people don't breastfeed. Medically, they can't do it. They don't have a supply. Their supply is too little. Whatever the issue may be. Mom shaming somebody over breastfeeding their baby is plain out fucking wrong. It hurts. Especially if they have tried and it's somebody like me who tried and feels like shit still to this day. My baby's 5 months old and I still feel like shit because I can't breastfeed him and give him the nutrients that I think that he needs. A fed baby is a happy baby, and my baby is happy because I'm happy and I'm less stressed out about watching every ingredient that is in every food that I eat. I'm not stressed out about pumping or bringing a pump with me while I'm out shopping because I oversupply and I have to constantly pump. I'm not feeding every 30 minutes and then pumping after I feed because I'm oversupplying and that's what I have to do. And it just takes so much time and energy out of you. And for a mom to shame anybody for anything is wrong. But society just makes, our society today makes moms think that the only way to feed your baby is breastfeeding, and it's not. And it is okay if you need to use formula. It is absolutely okay. Any mom listening that has this experience, or you feel like shit because you can't breastfeed your baby for whatever reason, or you're currently feeding your baby formula and feeling like shit because you can't breastfeed for whatever reason, know that it is okay. Your baby is happy and fed, and that's all that matters. And you're happy. That matters too, if you're happy and you're less stressed. So for any mom that is mom shaming another mom because they are not breastfeeding, stop. And if you're not a mom and you're mom shaming somebody because they're not breastfeeding, fuck you. Because you don't know the struggle that we go through and how stressful it can be, especially if you have an underlying condition like postpartum depression and anxiety. Just think about that the next time that you want to give somebody a dirty look because they're taking a bottle out and putting formula in it, like I get when I'm out in public and I need to feed my baby. Think about the nasty comments that you make to somebody on Facebook about breast is best and it's free, because you don't know the struggles that that person is going through, and that could really hurt somebody's feelings. It could set them off like it set me off, and I wanted to just cry. You just, mom or not mom, just make sure that you think. Just take a second and think about what you are saying or what you're about to say or post, because somebody out there struggles with it and probably feels horrible that they can't do it. But it's okay. They make formula for a reason. And if you are formula feeding your baby, great. High five to you. Don't let anybody else bring you down or tell you that it's wrong for you to formula feed your baby. You're doing a great job, moms.